How's it going, YouTube? This is Weston's Toys and Collectibles. And first off, we're gonna say don't mind the booming in the background. We got fireworks going off. It's almost 4th of July here in the United States, so yeah. So we're getting excited for our Independence Day. And people like to shoot off fireworks a few days before, so you'll hear some fireworks in the background probably. Today, though, we're gonna be taking a look at the Transformers Age of the Primes Megatronus Prime, and I've got to get a little bit higher up with this because he's a bit of a big boy. He is leader class, and so he is a pretty decent sized figure. Modern leader, of course, so he doesn't really compare to older leaders like our friend from Titan's Return, Overlord. You can see just how much leaders have shrunk in the last, 10 years, or even less than that. So yeah, however, he looks good. This is how he comes right out of the package. So we'll need to get his accessories so we can kind of outfit him, make him look pretty good. Setting him back here, we can go ahead and take a look at some of his accessories. First thing he comes with is this little missile pod. It comes separately in the box, but this is very much part of him. It'll attach to his shoulder. So we'll go ahead and attach that to his shoulder right there. So that's where that goes. Then he comes with this little barrel. In the instructions, it tells you to put it here on his shoulder and like aim it forward a little bit, so like you can shoot over his shoulder. I'll do that for right now, but I'll show also my configuration in a little bit. He comes with a handle and this is like, I don't know, some kind of like, it kind of looks like the spark extractor a little bit. You compare it to the one that came with Knockout, it kind of looks similar. So I guess you can pretend it's like a spark extractor of some sort. But yeah, he comes with this. He can wield this in his hand like so. Or you can store this on his back. He has several ports on his back that you can store stuff on. So we're going to go ahead and stick that right there. He comes with his sword. It's like a machete. And I drop it. Yeah, it's like a machete type sword. It's pretty cool. It's pretty wide here at the hilt. On like this cross guard with a 5mm ports on it. And then the handle, you can see it has this like pummel here, so he can't like insert it into his hand. You have to open up his hand to put it in his hand, and it just clips in, and you can close it around there. And yeah, so he can use his little machete. And go ahead and stick that onto his back as well. Go ahead and put that in that port there. Alright, then for his final weapon, he of course has to come with the Requiem Blaster. And this is more of a comic accurate version. There's been several iterations of the Requiem Blaster in media, but this is very much the Dreamwave Comics, as this is like a Dreamwave Comics design for Megatronus. This does have a few features. The handle can move, that moves back there like that for transformation. And the other part of this is also mostly for transformation, but it extends on a double hinge. It's pretty cool. You can also take this barrel here, and this is also for transformation, but if you wanted, you can do this for robot mode too, and just attach that like that. Both of these barrels are blast effective compatible. So here's like the ones that came with Tidal Wave. So yeah, it's a little bit shallow with that one, so we'll just take that off, and you can see he can use these blast effects This barrel also, if I don't drop that too, this barrel also can take the blast effects, but it's even more shallow, so I guess that one works best for this one. This bark extractor thing is also blast effect compatible. This is the same rubbery material, so you have to kind of move those blades out of the way for it to fit, which is cool. I don't understand why they don't make blades that are, you know, the swoosh effect compatible, because we had those swoosh effects that came with like the swords and stuff in like what was it? It wasn't Power of the Primes, it was Siege. The swoosh effects from Siege. Yeah, so it's kind of unfortunate we don't really get those swoosh effects anymore. We mostly just get the blast effects with the larger figures. But this can mount on his arm. I like putting it in the upper hole, but there's a port just below that if you want it to sit lower on his arm. I think that looks kind of goofy, so I like to have it up here where it doesn't look too out of place. And then finally he comes with some fire effects, and of course our boy is going to be on fire. This is the Fallen after all. Megatronus Prime was, you know, basically as the Fallen, perpetually on fire. So these two will plug in up here. They're basically mirrored. They also have a post or a port here on the back, so you can plug them into the side of things. We'll look at that in a little bit, but those two will go up there on his shoulders, and then these two will go on to his arms on the side of his shoulder blocks. So it looks like it's coming out of these vents here. And so there's the full effect of Megatronus Prime, all flamed up, all armed up. And if you want these two weapons also, and this is also for storage in vehicle mode, but they plug together, and it's kind of tight, and it's like a really long post. I haven't had any issues with it coming back apart, but yeah, so those will attach like this, and then this can be like a halberd of sorts. And you could probably have it either way you want, but I like doing it like that. So yeah, pretty cool. Also, I like to, instead of putting this blaster or this barrel here, I like to put it on the back of the shoulder here, just facing downward. Just kind of have it hidden out of the way. I don't like having it showing, I guess. If you wanted also, you can put it like here to kind of emulate Megatron. It would have been cool if they'd put like a port on here or here, and you could have been able to like put this here. Just coming off of there, like Armada Megatron. That'd be cool too, but they didn't do that, so not an option. We'll just put this here for now. Yeah, so looks pretty cool. Cool figure. Going over some size comparisons, we'll go ahead and bring in the other primes I have. I don't have Prima yet, or Prima, however you say it. I do have Vector Prime. Let's get him over. So here he is with Vector Prime. And here he is with Solus Prime, his wave mate. And here he is. I'm going to have my Earthrise Optimus Prime displayed with my 13 primes once I get them all. So I'm going to keep my... Holler almost fell off of Devastator's shoulder over here. I'm going to keep my Optimus from Earthrise with my 13 primes, because I think he looks the best with them. And I'm not getting Star Convoy or Star Optimus Prime, whatever it is. It's too big. in my opinion. I mean, it's still smaller than the other Titans, but my other Titans are Tidal Wave, Predaking, and Devastator. So I don't want a Star Convoy that's going to come up to like the mid chest of those figures. Like if they had made a remake of SS86's Star Convoy or Star Optimus Prime, or even if they did Earthrise Optimus as Star Optimus Prime, that would have been fine with me. But the way they did it, I understand it homages the original, has the base mode and everything, but in the little Micromaster Rodimus or whatever he was, it's not for me. So I'm not going to get that. I'm just going to have my Earthrise Optimus Prime displayed with my primes once I have all 13. Let's go ahead and take a look at articulation, and to do so I'm going to go ahead and take his weapons out of his hands, and we'll go ahead and take this off as well because don't need it right now. Articulation, pretty basic for what you'd expect for a figure of this, of a leader class now. He's basically everything you would want and expect. So the head's on a ball joint, so it rotates. He can look a little bit down. He can look a little bit up. And a little bit of wag. The arms, his shoulders here, he has a forward butterfly joint as well as a backward butterfly joint. So you can get his arm across his chest like so. Pretty well. He has this one to get out of the way. He has this joint here to get his arm out to 90 degrees. This joint feels odd because like right here it has a lot of resistance. Once it gets past that point, it's fine. This is really this is fine, but like right here there's a point of resistance. I don't know if it's just assembled wrong or what's going on with it. It's just right there. I thought about taking it apart, looking at it, but I just haven't gotten around to it. This side, though, gets to there. So here, and this is why I think the other side might be assembled wrong, but this arm goes out to here before it meets resistance, and then it has a little bit of resistance to get that final little click there. You see it clicked. So that's why I think this one might be assembled wrong, because it wants to hit that clicking point before it hits that where there's less resistance right there, but just right there. Anyway, bicep swivel, and it is that double mushroom peg, so it's not gonna break or anything. And then a little over 90 degrees here at the elbow, and then the wrist can wag back and forth, and then it can rotate. Hands can open that far, quite a ways, so you can definitely get your weapons in there. It doesn't have an ab crunch, which I would have expected, but with the engineering here, I understand why there's no ab crunch. They could have fit one in had they put one like in the right here, like in the front of this pelvis, where it would bend here, and then it'd still have some of this detail here. I think they could have done it, but the choice they went with was not to do that, so that's fine. And that just fell off. These do kind of fit in a little bit loose, especially the ones on his arms. Seem a little bit looser than the ones back here. But anyway, waist rotation, which is nice, unhindered. So he can go, full 360. These side pieces here, the little missile pods on the sides, will move up and you can get out that far. So you get like a, full Van Damme range on the hips. You get full Van Damme, and then forward and back for a full Monty. Nice. And then he has a thigh swivel that doesn't want to go this way, but it does rotate out, which is very... I think it's better to rotate out than it is to rotate in. So yeah, you can see you can get quite a bit on those rotations. He has knee bend. It does kind of lock in place right there. And then he has a below the knee, or above the knee joint that rotates. So if you can't get it with this, you can get it with this. And see, you can go, back and forth here, even when the knee is fully extended. Ankle tilt all the way in. It kind of rocks back, but not a whole lot forward. I mean, you can get it forward a bit, but only once it's the rocker is engaged. But it gives it gives him a more solid stance when you need it. That's everything for articulation. So now we can go ahead and take a look at some of the details real quick. He's got his yellow paint everywhere. Looks very nice. Let me pull the flame details off real quick. The yellow paint is done fairly well on this figure. Especially here, looks like they put a couple extra coats on to this weapon to really make it pop. Here it's not so much. And then inside these little vent details is beautiful. It's very nicely done, very nicely applied. It doesn't seem to have any overspray on my copy, which is also really good. The face looks very much like Shredder from Ninja Turtles, in my opinion. I know a few other people I've seen on comments and stuff also say the same thing. He looks like the Shredder. This metallic purple paint is really nice where it's applied. It matches the plastic really well as well. It is definitely more metallic than the plastic, but it still has a similar sheen, even though this is a more matte finish on the plastic. It matches pretty well. I like the nice gunmetal color here for these thighs, this paint that's used here, and then also on the toes and the barrel here. Looks really good. I think it's used here on the missile pods as well. And it doesn't detract too much from this bronzish, this really dark bronze color on the plastic here for these missile pods and also for the biceps. And then the rest of it is this really nice dark charcoal color plastic that just absolutely exudes evil off of this guy. And he cleans up on the back really nicely, just like our Solus Prime did. She cleaned up really nice. He cleans up real nice. So I think that might be a theme for these guys, that they're all going to look pretty good from all angles. Alright, so we can go ahead and take a look at his transformation now. All the accessories need to be pulled off except for this missile pod. To start, I'm going to go ahead and pull this missile pod forward, and then we're going to go ahead and turn this and flip it down as well. Coming to the hands, we're going to pop this open, and these can be a little bit tough to get open, but they snap in pretty well. And then rotate the bicep all the way around. Same thing with this side. You flip this open using the ball joint, put the hand inside and close it up, and rotate this back around. And we can go ahead and pull the arms out on the double butterfly joints. Next thing we're going to do is disengage this chest, and we disengaged too much. There we go. We'll just disengage this chest bit without pulling out the armature that the arms are attached to. Rotate his head first. Then bring this up, and we're going to fold in these panels. You can't see that. We're going to fold in these panels here, and then this is going to swivel around like that. We can bring this panel down that has the arms attached to it and just set it down like that, because then we're going to bring this whole armature here on the inside that the head and everything's attached to. We're going to bring that down now, and that way we can pull these tread pieces out of his chest. There's a lot of layers going on here. Then we can go ahead and take these and open them up and pull this out. And we're going to go ahead and push that up into place. There's a slot here that a tab will go into, and the tab is right here on this piece. So you just want to bring up this, and there's a double joint and then this rotational there, and you'll just bring this up and tab it into that tread and then bring it around like so. After we're done with that, we'll go ahead and we want to keep this block, this chunk here in this place, and then bring his head on this hinge here up like that, and then fold this chest piece down and in. And there's slots on the sides right here that these big chunky tabs are going to go into. We'll do that on both sides. And we're going to bring this up for a second so that we can now rotate the waist. And you want to keep all that engaged. Bringing it, so it's rotating the waist, and we're going to bring this purple panel down. And it kind of like, it gets tighter as it comes down. So you make sure that it's all the way down, and it's kind of tight once it gets there. And then these panels here, these little rocket pods here, will go up into these cavities here. Alright, so the legs, there's a joint here that you want to disengage, and it can be a little bit stiff. You can also do it with this still up, but this needs to come up all the way at this angle. And then there's a slot here that'll tab in right there onto this tab here. And do the same thing over here. Like I said, you get a little more clearance if you move this panel out of the way. Push that back down. Alright. So now we want to take this panel, open this up. We can do that on both sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and swing this around. And it's going to, this panel will tab onto the purple panel and lock the leg into place. So that locks that into place there. Same thing on this side. Make sure it's tabbed into that tread up there, and then rotate this and lock it in place. Now we can bring this whole assembly down, and it will tab in to a tab right here. We'll go into a slot, and then there's a couple tabs back here on this panel that go into these metallic, these gunmetal plastic pieces here. So that tabs in nice and securely. Then we'll go ahead and open these treads up on the back of the legs and fold in the feet, and then close that back up. Fold in the foot and close it back up. And this is basically his tank mode so far, without any of the accessories attached. So we'll go ahead and pull these, kind of tuck these arms in a little bit so that we can now get the Requiem blaster. We'll pull this panel here with the 5mm port all the way back. It needs to be all the way back in this position or else it won't fit right. And then flip out the this section that comes out and extends. And then we'll take this barrel here and attach it right there. And so then these two 5mm ports here on the sides are going to sandwich in between his shoulders. So we're going to go ahead and plug it in here, and then fold it over and plug it into the other side. And then just make sure that these double joints are collapsed all the way down into that panel. And that will keep everything nice and tidy. And here's his basic tank mode with his turret and everything. And it looks cool. It looks like a very evil Decepticon tank, as it should. And it rolls pretty nicely. This is a smooth surface. It's got these 4 plastic friction joint wheels that, they're like loose friction. So they stay in, but it rolls freely. Pretty good. It does articulate here, and it's like all the way back here, this joint. So it feels like it's kind of too far back for a turret rotation, but he's a space tank. It's not like he's an actual real, Earth tank. He can have a little bit of difference in the way that things work. You can't put the flame effect pieces on him in this mode. These will attach to these forearm pieces now from the top of the turret. And then these, the instructions only tell you to attach them to the spark extractor thing, like so. For the weapon storage for this. And so these 5mm port now will plug into, or this post will plug into this port. And then there's a small little notch right here on the foot that this tab here will notch into. And so you want to just plug it in up here and then line it up carefully with the back and just peg that into place. And so now that's nice and secure. And it kind of looks alright. It's not the worst weapon storage, but it's also not the best. Another thing, though, you can do with these flame pieces is you can attach them to these other ports here. So I see a lot of people put their flames on right there. And so that looks pretty cool, too. It looks like the tank's just on fire, and I dig it. It looks cool. And then this can still go over here like this, if you want it to. Yeah. Looks like a really cool tank. These spikes are more prominent now, which is cool. And then you can start to pick out some of the other details on here, like these spikes here. Coming to the back, it's pretty decently filled in. It definitely looks better than the Siege Megatron did, so they're really upping their tank game, their Decepticon tank game here. It looks like, it looks really scary. You see this thing coming at you, you're gonna like run. I do not really like how it's open here. You can see the back of his head. If his head was turned around, you could see his whole face. It just seems like they could have filled that in somehow. Same with back here. You could maybe put a panel here, but I guess they're probably already pushing it with this price point. For a size comparison, the only vehicle mode transformer I have next to me right now is Laser Prime. So there he is with Laser Optimus Prime. And they're about the same length. I think they're almost exactly the same length in vehicle mode, which is pretty cool. He's just a lot bulkier because he's a leader. and you know, the Laser Optimus, Earthrise Optimus mold was padded out with a trailer for the price point. So yeah, it's a really good figure. I got him for Father's Day. I asked for him for Father's Day, and I just almost a week and a half I just could not put him down. Just a fantastic figure. He's so much fun to play with. He's so chunky, fun to move around, and oops, knock over the camera. And he's also very satisfying to transform. He's not too difficult. He doesn't take too many steps. And he's just kind of satisfying with everything that goes right where it needs to go, and stays in place pretty well. I know I've seen some people complain about his plastic feeling kind of squishy, rubbery, and I can see that it feels a little bit different. The plastic on these new figures, well, at least on like the primes, feel a little bit different. It feels like a more matte plastic, if that makes sense. It feels more, it feels less glossy. Like with our aerial bots, it's more of like a, you know, it feels more solid, I guess. It's hard to explain. Like, these don't feel like rubbery. This kind of feels weird. And I don't know if this is just like what they're doing with these figures, or if it's just Megatronus. But it kind of, it feels odd. It gives him a little more heft though. Like, I don't know if it's just like a thicker, more robust, and honestly like a little bit of a more malleable plastic, I guess is the word. It's just, it feels like it's kind of made to take more abuse, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm just rambling right now, but yeah, I understand where people are coming from with that, you know, judgment of how the plastic feels. It does feel different, and not in a bad way, but like it's in a weird way where it doesn't feel quite right. And like, even like listening to the joints move, it just sounds, it feels like what I understand Magic Square plastic to feel kind of like, but thicker or stronger. It's hard to me. It's hard for me to explain. And I haven't like handled any Magic Square figures, so I don't know exactly what those feel like. But like, if I have to compare it to something I do own that's not Hasbro, it would have to be the this guy, the DX9 Hulky. The plastic feels very similar to DX9 Hulky's plastic. And for what it's worth. Now, going back into robot mode, I do want to note that getting these wrists opened up can be a little bit harder. It does have a little bit of clearance for a fingernail to get in there to pull it open, but it's a little bit more difficult to get it open while the hands folded in. Yeah, it's a very stiff connection to get from here to here. And once the hand's out, you know, you have something to pull some leverage on. But when the hand's like tucked in, there's no way of getting leverage on it. So it's kind of hard to open going back to robot mode. But anyway, yeah, this has been my review of the Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Megatronus, or Megatronus the Fallen. He's very, very good. Just really good prime. A really good figure. in general. And I know a lot of people are like speculating on things, and Hasbro has already shown off their new Megatron, so those speculations were, of course, false. Hasbro did keep to their word and said that they said that they wouldn't be doing any like retools of these figures. And I'm glad they didn't make a Megatron out of this, because you know it would have been kind of weird. But at the same time, I think that they could do a Turmoil from the IDW comics. I think Turmoil would be a fantastic reuse of this mold. They could really do like a little bit of retooling on some of the parts, but I think that would be the perfect reuse of this mold, is Turmoil from the IDW comics, because he has the same bulk, he has the same, he has the same presence. He's just a big, mean, nasty looking guy who just wants to break things, it looks like. He just very angsty teen vibes. Like, this guy sits back and listens to some of the most heavy deathcore that you could find, the filthiest gutturals. That's what this guy listens to. So he's just a fantastic looking figure. He looks like the darkest OC that any teenager could have come up with, on their DeviantArt profile. That's what he looks like. And he's just purely based from that Dreamwave Comics appearance, where he's just on fire, and he's black and purple and evil looking. He's just on fire, just inexplicably on fire. So fantastic design, fantastic, just fantastic figure. So I recommend him 100%. Such a great figure. Even if you don't want to get all the other primes, this guy is definitely worth having in the collection. And just for the sake of, everything, here he is compared to, SS-86 Optimus, and here he is compared to Siege Megatron with his yellow thighs. Alright, so this has been my review of the Transformers Age of the Primes Leader Class Megatronus the Fallen. And until next time, till all are one.